there, welcome along to Good Morning Transfers. It's been a busy weekend of transfer news. This hour we'll have the latest on Arsenal's pursuit of Kieran Tierney, and will Kieran Trippier end up in Germany?
Is this the week Manchester United welcome a new defender but say goodbye to a striker? All the latest from Old Trafford coming up.
It's time to bring in the right winger as we continue to build the free agent 11. Make sure you get involved via the hashtag and tell us your suggestions.
West Ham have lost out on striker Maxi Gomez, so who do they turn to now to fill the void left by Marko Arnautovic?
It's a big summer for Cardiff City. They went down fighting last season. We analysed what they need to get back in the Premier League.
And you won't miss any of the breaking deals as they happen. Updates over the next hour. Remember, this is your show as well, so get involved. Join the conversation. Use the hashtag TransferTalk.
Yeah, we have got lots to get through this morning, but before we get stuck into the transfers, we've got to add our congratulations to England's cricketers on what was a remarkable performance yesterday. What a win that was. What a day of sport it was in this country yesterday. There will be loads more reaction and celebrations, of course, to come throughout the rest of the day, so make sure you stay with us right here on Sky Sports News. But, guys, let's get to it. We'll start with the latest on Arsenal's pursuit of Celtic left-back Kieran Tierney. Sky sources understand that Celtic have rejected Arsenal's latest bid of £25 million. So, looks like Arsenal want him. Michael, what is it going to take for them to get this one over the line?
Well, they understand Celtic are unhappy with the structure, wanting more cash up front rather than add-ons. It sounds a bit similar to Arsenal's bid for Wilfried Zaha. That was more of an add-ons as well, the 40 million. This coming after an initial bid of 15 million was rejected by Celtic. Now, obviously, Celtic's season is already underway. They're already playing their Champions League qualifiers. However, Kieran Tierney does have a double hernia operation he's undergone, so he'll probably miss the start of the season anyway. But obviously, Arsenal need to get this done as well. They want some cheer as well, the supporters as well, obviously, about the Laurent Koscielny news. So, looking for some good news, Arsenal. But I want to look at Kieran Tierney as a player, what he would bring to Arsenal and how important he would be on that left-hand side. If we look at the graphic here for Kieran Tierney, he made his Scottish Premiership debut April 22nd, 2015. In that time, he's assisted 21 goals. Only 5 players in the Scottish Premiership have assisted more, ranking 3rd for Celtic's assist in that time, behind James Forrest on 26 and Callum McGregor on 25. Well, he's also been directly involved, Joe, in 26 goals, 5 goals, 21 assists. Now, James Tavernier, 49, is the only defender with more. James Tavernier takes free kicks and takes Rangers penalties as well. So, slightly misleading-ish graphic in that sense there. But, of course, if he was to join and he stayed injury-free, I think he'd be a good signing for Arsenal. Yeah,
and of course it is still ifs. JD, what about the Arsenal perspective? Do you see him fitting in with Arsenal?
I think he could fit in because of that kind of lucid or fluid system that Emery's loved to play this season. Sometimes he plays the 4 at the back and sometimes he plays the 5. And with Tierney as obviously being a modern fullback, loving to attack, as you talk about those goals involvements, he's naturally going to be pushing on, creating assists for the Lacazettes, the Aubameyangs, hopefully if they're still there next season. But I feel like there's another aspect we're not really taking into consideration. I think Arsenal are being very loose with the deal. I mean, Kieran Tierney is still under a long-term contract to 2023, so Celtic are under no pressure to turn around and sell. But also the aspect of Napoli still being interested, and Napoli do have the attraction of Champions League football. So if you have a prospect, a British prospect, which is an attractive prospect to bring in and would incorporate into your team automatically, I don't understand why the deal was taking so long to get over the line. But then again, take into consideration, they still have Monreal, who signed a new long-term, well, a long-ish term deal at the end of last season, and then you still have Kolasinac as well, who's there. So
I think from the Arsenal point of view as well, you've seen Maitland-Niles sort of play on the left and on the right as well. For me, it would be really exciting if they did bring in a more established left-back, left wing-back, so you could see him play in his midfield role, Maitland-Niles, because he is an exciting player as well, that potentially could have something really different to that Arsenal team, especially when they're missing drive in the central midfield after Aaron Ramsey left.
Leadership qualities as well. Obviously, Laurent Koscielny refusing to go on the pre-season tour, the club captain. And then you look at Kieran Tierney, if this deal does go through, he'll become the most expensive player in Scottish football history with this move. And the leadership qualities is something that the club are clearly lacking at the minute.
Yeah, and of course, there's going to be comparisons to a certain Andy Robertson. He was named PFA Scotland Young Player of the Year in 2014 before he moved from Dundee United to Hull, obviously then moved to Liverpool. Tierney, the only Scot to be named double Young Player of the Year 3 seasons in a row. So, I mean, he's made such an impact in Scotland, as Andy Robertson did. Robertson then having such an impact in the Premier League. I mean, those comparisons are fair, but it's a bit of pressure on Tierney as well if he does make that
it's kind of
move.
the best and the worst thing to happen to Kieran Tierney is Andrew Robertson. He's probably fed up of hearing those two words, those two names every time his name's mentioned. Because look, the form, the research, and the development of Andrew Robertson shows kind of, I think, how much talent there is in Scotland and how it's been ignored by a lot of English clubs for quite a while. But the problem is, obviously, we've seen this huge development because he left and he went to, first Hull and now Liverpool. And the same with Virgil van Dijk. He left Southampton and then went to Liverpool. And you've seen this huge development in their game that Kieran Tierney, at the age he's at as well, you can't blame him if he is sitting there thinking, maybe I do need to, maybe professionally I do, but he absolutely adores Celtic and he wants to achieve everything there. It must be personally a really difficult situation for him.
I think there's also a strain on the deal because of his injury history. I mean, he has suffered he's injured at this moment right now. So maybe that is creating a lot of question marks, especially within that left-back position. If you look at Kolasinac has had injury problems as to why Maitland-Niles got into the team in the first place. Monreal has proven that he's had his fitness problems as well. So maybe they're looking for somebody that can, for the longevity terms of a season, play a little bit longer. Yeah. But the talent, as you remember talking about those awards, is clearly there. Yeah. And it's there for us all to see.
Yeah, well, this is one we're going to keep across. But let's check in with the state of play and Dave.
Yes, this is what's happening elsewhere today, and it is a crucial day for Neymar as the world's most expensive player returns to Paris Saint-Germain. The club released a statement last week criticising the forward for failing to turn up for pre-season training. Neymar was playing in a sponsors event in Brazil over the weekend. He is due back in Paris today. West Ham defender Reece Oxford's protracted move to German club Augsburg could be back on. That's after he dropped demands for a release clause if they were relegated. Negotiations reopened last week on a deal we understand is worth around £2.7 million. Steven Gerrard has confirmed there have been no bids for the Rangers striker Alfredo Morelos. Speaking after Rangers' friendly win over Marseille, Gerrard did say that he expects some players to leave the club. And finally, Aberdeen have confirmed the signing of Funso Ojo from Scunthorpe. That's on a 3-year deal.
Dave, thank you. Right, let's move on to Tottenham now. And we understand we're going to get to another Kieran. Kieran Trippier is on a short list of right-back targets at Bayern Munich. Michael, tell us, what more do we know about this?
Well, firstly, Kieran Trippier has been wanted by a number of top European clubs this summer, and it's good for him, really, because he hasn't had the best of seasons at Spurs, a poor season, really. But in fairness to Kieran Trippier, I don't think he's the only English player post-World Cup. Look, Bayern Munich are looking to sign a new full-back this summer, and they've scouted Trippier. However, Bayern want him as more of a deputy. That would be a reason why I'd have my doubts on this move. Napoli have also been looking at Trippier as well. I'm also told that his family were actually visited Naples. But it's interesting with Trippier. I just feel a new challenge might be an option for him. I know Spurs are looking at the right-back areas where there's also talks about Serge Aurier moving on as well. But, yeah, it's a tough one for him, but what will give him hope is that there are, as I say, some good clubs looking at him at the same time. Yeah,
and you mentioned a new challenge. Alice, he'll want to play football, though. He won't want to go to a club and then just sit on the bench.
Exactly, and we can't forget, it was only a year ago that he scored that absolute worldie of a free kick in the World Cup for England against Croatia. So things can change pretty quickly. Obviously, Michael touched on there the fact that he did have a pretty tricky season with Tottenham. But as you say, he won't want to be going and just warming a bench. He's better than that. And having had the highs that he has had with Tottenham, obviously they're yet to win a trophy, but he has done very well with them, so you can't see him wanting to make that move outside of the Premier League to then not play. If anything, potentially, will he be looking at a club inside the Premier League, another club?
I'm not sure he won't play at Bayern. They're looking to completely remodel what they're doing. They've lost Rafinha, they've lost Robben, they've lost Ribery, they've lost James Rodriguez, they've lost Mats Hummels. They've lost so much experience that they want a new want new core. They've brought in obviously Benjamin Pavard as well to the centre-back, who can also play at right-back. But they've got Joshua Kimmich, who plays at right-back, who can also play midfield. They want a squad that can compete. And Kieran Trippier, look, if you can have a chance, don't forget how big a draw Bayern Munich is. They are a huge club. You go and check out their facilities, and you will instantly instantly buy into what they're offering. So I think it's a big draw. It's a big draw. But for me, this is ruthless from Tottenham if they do decide to cash in on Kieran Trippier, because right, his form dipped last year, you know, but his stats actually aren't that bad. They're not as bad as you may think they were. Only really the problem was there was 2 errors leading to goals. Other than that, really, you know, crosses were about the same level, assists down ever so slightly, but if that's a bad season, then I'd take that. You know, that's not. You know,
huge respect to Kieran Trippier. In March, did an exclusive on Soccer Saturday. He said, "I'm not playing well this season. I need to improve." So refreshing to hear a player come out and say that, and he gained a lot more support and trust from supporters when they heard that. We know that as well, Tottenham fans. He didn't have a great season. He scored a really baffling own goal against Chelsea. But as you say, he came off the back of a World Cup, a really strenuous World Cup, a tough World Cup, and it was only 3 weeks later he was playing at Newcastle in the Premier League. There was that rest factor. We've seen it with Harry Kane, picked up 2 bad ankle injuries. I do believe a good rest and you'll see a better Trippier, a better diet, all these England players all around.
That point is so important, what you said, because a lot of people picked on Dele Alli's form as well, and
yes,
people don't understand the extent, both mentally, I think more mentally than physically, that is put on these players. Having the longevity of a World Cup and then having to go straight back into pre-season, you're always going to be a step behind the rest of your teammates and having to catch up. Then injuries play a factor as well because of the physical fatigue on their bodies. So, in fairness to Kieran Trippier, when you bring up the fact that he's only had 2 errors that led to goals last season, I think you can overall see it probably wasn't the season before it was, but at the same time it wasn't a bad season.
No, not
and that delivery that you talk about that he has in terms of the cross completion and his passes has always technically been there with Kieran Trippier. But I have to say to you, if you think that he's going to start in that team ahead of Joshua Kimmich, which is, they are beloved, he is beloved by the Bayern fans.
I'm not saying he isn't going to start. What my point is, A, Kimmich is a versatile player. They might want to move him back to where he started as centre midfield. And secondly, they're going to play a lot of games. And Trippier is good enough. Back yourself. I do think there's a lot of the times when players should back themselves in difficult positions to take on established starters.
I can give you that.
That's all I'm saying.
And then I guess, though, the question is then, if Trippier does go, what on earth happens at right-back for Spurs? What are their options there, Michael?
Interesting one, Joe, because you've got at the moment Kyle Walker-Peters, Serge Aurier, but my understanding was that Serge Aurier and Trippier would be made available if the right offer came in. Same as Danny Rose. If the right offer came in, if is the key word. Again, I say it all the time. But if an offer comes in, they would consider it. They were looking at Marseille right-back Hiroki Saki, we understand, but he's 29, so I'm not overly sure just how much he's wanted at Tottenham, because the structure of Spurs is early and mid-20s, so I'm not sure about that one personally. The other option for Tottenham, I think, next season as well, they might convert Juan Foyth, the Argentinian centre-half, who had a really good Copa America at right-back. He was also outstanding at right-back against Manchester City in April, so there's another option. So a real wait and see, but as I say, I like Kieran Trippier, and I like how honest he is as well when he talks about his form and the fact he's got the likes of Bayern Munich and Napoli looking at him. Fair play.
Yeah, would Tottenham fans want him to stay, though?
It depends. It depends. It depends.
That surprises me.
It was a disappointing season for him, but saying that, he's done well with Tottenham over the last few years. It was unfair to us comparing him with Kyle Walker. He's got brilliant delivery, Trippier, but Walker is a fantastic right-back and he's pushed on. But, yeah, wait and see, I think, really, on Trippier.
Yeah, so I put Michael on the spot there, but would Tottenham fans want Trippier to go? Make sure you get involved. This is your show, remember. Use that hashtag #TransferTalk and let us know what you think.